The noes to the left, 344.
Mr. Speaker, I think it should be a matter of profound regret to every member of this House that once again we have been unable to support leaving the European Union in an orderly fashion. This government will continue to press the case for the orderly Brexit that the result of the referendum demands.
This deal now has to change. There has to be an alternative found. And if the Prime Minister can't accept that, then she must go, not at an indeterminate date in the future, but now.
Democracy! Democracy!
Very, very sad, very disappointed.
I'm very glad that it's not Brexit Day, but I also think that it's a pity that things haven't progressed a little quicker.
We personally voted to remain, but I just want it finished with now, even that means leaving.
This should have been an amazing day for England, yeah? But they've ruined it.
Well, let's reflect a little on what happened yesterday. Lucy Harris is Director of Leavers of Britain. We could speak to her now in Westminster. Very good morning to you, Lucy. Thanks for your time this morning. Just give us your thought about the sequence of events yesterday and the decision that was taken.
Well, for us, we're quite nervous. We're extremely nervous because we don't know what's going to happen. In fact, we haven't known what's going to happen for such a long time. So many things could happen. If you look at the indicative votes, you saw that the Customs Union in their second referendum seems the most likely to go forward, which makes me worried, which is why Jacob Rees-Mogg, which is why everyone else was hoping to get the withdrawal agreement through yesterday. However, it's all based on principles. We have to vote on our principles. We have to vote on pushing through with the result of the referendum, the result which makes sure that democracy is actually upheld in this country.
Tell us a little bit about the frustration that people in your organisation and others are feeling at the moment, because we've got these indicative votes coming up next week. Are any of those alternatives close to a place that you think some people of your mindset would contend with?
Well, a lot of my group really think no deal is the closest one to it. A WTO deal is the only one that we can actually achieve, which is Brexit. For a lot of us, we wanted a bilateral trade deal. We wanted something that actually could work with our European partners. However, we believe now that a WTO is the only way forward.
Do you think that's likely? I mean, the suggestions were, as a result of yesterday, had become more likely.
Well, the issue is that there has been no discussion on what the default actually is. We believe that it should be a no deal. We believe that it is a WTO deal. I mean, Theresa May has said herself, no deal is better than a bad deal, and her deal definitely is a bad deal.
Where does that, tell me a little bit about where that thought process about the no deal, the warnings that many people are taking very seriously about the potential short-term and possibly medium-term damage to the economy, to people's jobs and their livelihoods, where does that sit in relation to what you've just said about that possibly being the best outcome as far as you're concerned?
Ultimately, it's not about our personal self-interest. It's about the long-term idea of democracy in this country. If you look at how the referendum has been treated since we won the referendum, there's been a serious issue about actually making it happen. This government doesn't want to make it happen. This government doesn't want to uphold democracy. And if we can't control our own personal and individual lives, then we can control nothing as individuals in this country.
There's 17.4 and the argument around whether or not they're being betrayed. And I know that there was a very real sense of that I was down in Westminster yesterday. There was a tangible sense of that, and I know you were there as well. Tell me a little bit about that mood.
Well, actually, I was on the other side of the square, and I thought it was really jovial. Everyone was in such good spirits. We're determined. We're determined not to be put down. We're determined to hear our voices heard. I can't deny that there isn't a sense of anger, a disappointment, but there's also a sense of fear and worry. I'm scared that democracy won't be upheld. I'm scared that for the first time in a very long time in British history, democracy will not be upheld, and it must be.
It is a time when a lot of people are talking about compromise, and that compromise obviously is a two-way street. Is there an element, at some point in this process, you must have thought this through, is there a point at which the choice of the referendum was a binary one, in or out? The details of it as to whether it would be any kind of customs union, or whether that came from the two parties and what they presented to the electorate in the election. Now, can you go back to that point in time with the referendum and say, even if we leave with a customs union, we have left? Could that ever be something that could be palatable to you?
Well, on the 2017 manifesto from the Tory party said that we'd be leaving the customs union. It was made very, very clear in the referendum that we'd be leaving the single market, the customs union and the ECJ. In fact, to leave the EU means to leave all of its institutions, and that includes the customs union. So I think when it comes to compromise, you can't compromise on democracy. You can't compromise on what was said in the EU referendum. We have been told that we are leaving on those terms, and we should be leaving on those terms.
Can I just ask you one last thought, if I could? There is question marks over Theresa May as to whether how long she'll survive. We know she's going to leave fairly soon anyway. Have you got someone who you would like to be Prime Minister?
Well, have I got someone? My group really like Boris Johnson, but we also really like Dominic Raab. So I think it will be a toss-up between those two. I'd really like to see them do well.
Lucy Harris, thank you very much for your time this morning. Lucy Harris is Director of Leavers of Britain, speaking to us this morning. Thank you.
Nice when a guest likes breakfast, she just said.
That's never a bad thing,
Why
is it?
wouldn't
Never
you?
a bad